Okay, we are in second period, going over the next set of review sheets. So let's take a look. It says that a restaurant offers 4 appetizers, 7 main courses, and 3 desserts. What is the size of the sample space? This is just when you're doing the counting principle. All you have to do is multiply those numbers together. 4 times 7 times 3. That's it, which I haven't done yet. So 8 is 84. Yep, recording. Next, circle A, circle B, and circle C are similar. Describe the series of transformations that would map circle A to circle B. So now we know we're going from A to B. Well, obviously there had to be what? What 2 things definitely happened? A dilation and a translation. So first we're going to figure out what's the distance from here to here. This is going to be 1, 2, 6. So that's going to be a distance of 5. This might be a distance of 2.5. So it looks like 5 divided by 2.5 is it shrunk. Wait, new over old. What am I doing, Michelle? 2.5 divided by 5 gives us 0.5. So we know that the dilation, it was cut in half. Then what we're going to do, okay. Now we're going to do the translation. So we have to see, how do we move the centers? Well, if it started at A and went to B, A is located at 1, 5, and B is located at -4, -4. So there was also a translation. The translation went from +1 to -4, so it subtracted 5. And the y value went from +5 to -4, so it subtracted 9. So those are the 2 things that happened. The 2 events A and B are independent if the probability of the intersection is the same as the product. This is the formula that's on the formula sheet. So all you need to do is multiply these together. This would give you 0.625. That doesn't match. This would give you 0.032. That doesn't match. This would give you a number I don't feel like doing in my head. 0.16 times 0.24, 0.0384, which isn't correct. And then when you multiply these 2 together, you'll get 0.045. A company needs to package the spell within a rectangular box. I think the one we did before, I told you the base was 8 inches, but in this case, we can see the number, it's 6 is the diameter. So we know if the diameter is 6, the radius is 3. I don't know if we know that, need the information though. But then it says, what are the smallest dimensions? Well, it's basically testing you. Do you know that the bottom of a bell is a circle? So if this is 6 inches that way, this also has to be 6 inches. So the answer is 6 times 6 times 8. That's it. The one that we did before, we couldn't read the 6 was the bottom, so I said 8, and we just did 8 times 8 times 8. Next, here it wants us to write, write an equation of a line that's parallel. Well, our original slope is 3. We know our original slope is 3 because of y equals mx plus b. Why am I perplexed? Where'd Deja go all of a sudden? What have I been missing?
It's okay.
Is she okay? She's okay. All right, letter B, letter B. So it says write the line that's parallel. So because this isn't a multiple choice question, get away. I'm recording, and don't have me recording being on you for not keeping your hands to yourself. Okay, so here what we're going to do is we're going to plug in y equals, it wants parallel, so we'll put 3x plus b. Substitute in. So we've got 4 equals 3 plus b, subtract 1 equals b. So our final answer for this one is y equals 3x plus 1. This one says perpendicular. So if our original slope is 3, our perpendicular slope is the opposite reciprocal, which means we flip and switch. So I'm going to have to plug things in again. So I've got 5 for the y equals negative 1/3 times 3, which is the x, plus b. This gives us 5 equals negative 1 plus b. Add 1 to both sides, and I get 6 equals b. So my answer for this one is y equals negative 1/3 x plus 6. God bless you. The main thing for this video is, or for this question, is understanding that the denominator matters in the given. So here, how it says, this is on that formula sheet, the probability of A given B. So that means it's the probability of A and B, this one's on the formula sheet, divided by whatever comes after the given. So after the given is B, so B is in the bottom. This next one says the probability of B given A. So you just have to know whatever comes after the line is in the denominator. The numerator stays the same, but the denominator is what ends up changing. Use the two-way frequency table. It says totals. It's okay. It's okay. It already gave us the totals. It says use a two-way table from 7 to determine the probability of randomly selected person is less than 18 given they have a job. So this are less than 18 and given they have a job. So we know that this has to come last. There's 607 people who have a job. Of them, 20 of them are less than 18. So I'm going to do 20 divided by 607, and I get 0.03, which is 3%. For 7, it says determine the probability a randomly selected person is less than 18 or has a job. Remember, anytime we hear or, we think of the formula sheet. So we're going to do, we have to add them up and then subtract the overlap. So there's 944 people total. There's 265 people who are less than 18. There are 607 people who have a job, but now we have to say, okay, how many of the people that's less than or 18 have a job? And that's 20. So we're going to subtract the 20 overlap. So then on the calculator, 265 plus 607 minus 20 equals 852. Divided by 944. And then that would give us our decimal, 0.9. So you have to remember to subtract. Don't forget, when you add or subtract fractions, you don't touch the denominators. The denominators stay the same. A city has a population of 688 people, or 6,688 people. The city is approximately 7.267 miles. How many people per square mile are living in the city? As a reminder, it's always going to be things that you can count over space. So we're going to do people divided by miles. So 6,688 divided by 7.267. That gives us 920.3. Here it says write the equation of the circle shown. We've done that before. Our center's at 4, 5, so we know we switch. Here our radius is 2, so our radius squared is 2 times 2, which is 4. to go on? Identify the center and the radius. Here we get to do our favorite thing, which is group the x's. So we've got x squared plus 8x plus space plus y squared minus 14y plus space, and then this goes to this side, negative 56. Divide. Divide again, square, add them up, and we get 9. So now we're not done yet. We still have to say the center and the radius. So our center, switch the signs, is -4, +7, and the square root of 9 is 3. So that problem's done. Here's a Cavalier's principle. Again, the 12 and the 10, even though this is skewed, we know the volumes have to be the same. So we just use the regular volume formula. As a note, the diameter is 10, so we have to make sure we change our radius to 5. That will give me a volume of 942.47. This is a composite figure, so we're going to do the cone and we're going to do the cylinder. The cone is 1/3 pi r squared height. If you have questions, stop me, but this should be pretty familiar by now. The radius, this diameter is 20, so I know my radius is 10. My height for the cone is 8. Now they might have you solve it, or they might have you like write the whole thing out. So just pay attention to what they're asking you. Don't forget to, for the 1/3, I always divide by 3 last because it's just easier for me, but you can do it how you want to do it. So this becomes 837.75 or 0.76. This is pi r squared again times the height. So we've got pi times 10 squared with the height of 6. 10 times 10 times 6 times pi gives us this. And then add them up. And our final answer is 2,722.7. Technically centimeters cubed because it's volume. Please pay attention to the words prism and pyramid because they're two different formulas. So here this says thankfully they gave you a picture of a pyramid, but they might try to trick you and just use the word pyramid. So make sure you pay attention to the difference between a pyramid and a prism. The formula is 1/3 the base times the height. We know the base is this whole bottom. So really it's doing 1/3 times 8 times 6 times the height of 8. 2,864,128. Here it says write an equation. So we're going to switch the signs and square the radius. Determine if it's in, on, or outside. This one I showed you, all you do is you plug these points in. These are 3 different equations. So here I'm going to plug in -4 + 2 squared plus -1 + 5 squared, and I want to know, does that equal 25? Well, this is going to give me 2 squared plus 4 squared. That's 4 plus 16. So that is going to be inside because 4 plus 16 is 20. 20 is smaller than 25. Next. Here we're going to plug this in. 1 plus 2 squared plus -1 plus 5 squared. So that's going to give us 3 squared plus 4 squared, which is 25. So that's on. Here we have 0, so we've got 2 squared plus 5 squared. That's going to give you 4 plus 25, so that's outside. So really just substituting in and solving is enough. Prove that the following figure is a rectangle. The easiest way to do this is just to do Pythagorean theorem. This is a 2 by 2. Because it says prove it's a rectangle and it doesn't say prove the parallelogram is a rectangle, unfortunately, we have to figure out all the sides. So we know that 2 squared plus 2 squared is going to give us 8, and we have to take the square root. This also is a 2 by 2, so we can use that same formula. This one is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 by 5. This is a 5 by 5 also, so we can use that same stuff. So far we've proven it's a parallelogram, but we haven't talked angles. So now what we need to do is we need to look at the slopes. This slope is positive 2 over positive 2, which is the slope of 1. This slope is positive 5 over negative 5, which is a slope of -1. So then you can say something like the opposite sides are congruent. And then the consecutive slopes are perpendicular. Therefore, it's a rectangle. The good news for this problem is the whole test is multiple choice. So you shouldn't have to get into all of that. You should just be able to process of eliminate. Now that we have that, it does want the perimeter and the area. Remember, perimeter is we add up all the sides. So we're going to have the square root of 8 plus the square root of 50 plus the square root of 8 plus the square root of 50. When we combine all that, we're going to get this. And I just say put it in the calculator. 2 square roots of 8, close parentheses, plus 2 square roots of 50, close parentheses, gives you 19.79. For the area, oh, that's the area I was born. How fun is that? For the areas, we have to multiply. So it's just base times height. So we've got the square root of 8 times the square root of 50. 8 times 50 is 400. Take the square root and we get 20. So that's the area. This next shape, well, it looks like a cone. So it's a cone because mountains aren't like perfect rectangles. They're more round as you go up. So it's a cone. If you're standing 100 feet away from the base and you're looking at an elevation of 60 degrees, how tall is the mountain? So this is probably where they're putting in trig into this test. So we know that this is our theta. We have opposite and adjacent. So looking at the formula sheet, we're going to use tan. Tan of 60 degrees equals the opposite x over 100. So we're going to actually just do 100 times tan, 60. And we get, that doesn't make sense, does it? Let me try it a different way. No, I'm in mode. Tan of 60 equals, no, it makes sense. 173.2. Not a very tall mountain. That's where I got confused. The circumference of the base is 350. What is the volume of the mountain? Now, remember that the volume formula is 1/3 pi r squared height. So we have to figure out the radius. So you're going to look at the formula sheet, and you know that 2 pi r is the circumference formula. So we're going to do 350 divided by 2 pi, and that's going to give you the radius. The radius is 549. With rounding, it's 550. But then we just plug everything in. When you plug everything in, the height is 173 times pi divided by 3. Yeah. So this whole thing is going to end up being this ridiculously long number. So the volume is 54,802,466. It's a big number. That's why when I knew one of those questions was a big number. That's why I had to do a double take. What shape will result in the vertical cross section of a cone? That's cutting a cone straight up and down. That's going to be a triangle. If you rotate a right triangle around a vertical axis, what three-dimensional figure do you get? A cone. If you rotate a rectangle around the vertical axis, what do you get? A cylinder. You should have these done already, but what shape will result with a horizontal cross section of a cylinder? So if you cut a cylinder in half, you'll get a circle. If you cut it up and down, you're going to get a rectangle. I feel like drawing in orange. So whether independent and dependent, remember independents are not related, dependents are. A number cube is rolled twice, that's going to be independent because one roll is not going to impact the other roll. It's raining outside, so the parade is canceled. That's dependent. Okay, you might also hear the term mutually exclusive. It's sunny and a movie theater changed the movie. That's independent. That's not related. Two cards are drawn from a deck. The first is not replaced. That's dependent. But if it is replaced, then it's independent. Yep, I'm recording. What are the coordinates of the point that partitions a segment? 2 to 3. That's on the formula sheet. Anytime you see partition, you know you're going to do that. So the formula is, first we figure out the x. So we've got b times x1 plus a times x2 divided by the sum. So we've got 6 plus 6 divided by 5, which is 12 divided by 5, which is 2.4. Nope, 2.1. No, I was right the first time. Sugar shoots, 2.4. Then you have to find your y. Again, B3, A5, or I'm sorry, Y1. A is 2, Y2 is 7. 15 plus 14 is 29. So you get 5.8. Hold on. So you have 2 point, God bless you, 4 and 5.8 is your answer. And it's okay if you get decimals, no big deal. Here, this inscribed angle that's 50 and this central angle share the same arc. So we know 50 times 2, angle to arc, we multiply by 2, is 100. Because this is a central angle, that makes x also equal to 100, because central angles have the same measure. Here they tell us that this arc and this arc are the same, so we know this is 108. So all we're going to do is these added up together give you 216. They've got 360 minus 216. That leaves 144 for this arc, but this is an inscribed angle. So arc to angle divided by 2. So we're left with 72 degrees. Okay. Before we can figure out x, we need to figure out this missing piece. So again, we're going to just subtract from 360, 360 minus 120, minus 110, and minus 84. Tells us there's 46 left for this minor arc. The formula for exterior is we subtract and we divide by 2. 120 minus 46 divided by 2 gives you 37. Here one's the area of the shaded region, so we're going to use the formula sheet. Formula sheet says pi times the radius squared times the angle measure divided by 360. So we've got pi times the radius squared times the angle measure equals divided by 360. 62.8 millimeters squared. Here they don't give us the angle, but we can count their 7 sections. And 3 of them are shaded. So we're going to take 360, divide that by 7. That gives us 51.4. And then, so each one of these is 51.4. We're going to now multiply that by 4. So that leaves us 205.6. That's our degree measure. So now we plug that information into the formula. Pi, the radius is 14, times, let's say 206, make our life easy, divided by 360. Pi, 14 squared, 206 equals, divided by 360, 352.3 centimeters squared, 27. Central angle is 1.5 radians. The radius is 5. What's the arc length? Oh, I forgot I was going to teach you how to do this. I don't want to teach you how to do this today. I'll teach you how to do that tomorrow. 28. Here it tells us that A is 89. D is 14. That doesn't really help us. 89, 14. So we know that A and B share the same arc. So A and B have to be the same. We also know that if D is 14, that ACB and ADB share the same arc. So this has to be 14. And then arc to angle, we multiply by 2. So AB sugar shoots is 28. Here they have, tells you it's tangent. So because it's tangent, we know that this part is 90 degrees. The measure of angle A is 32. So all we do is we just think of a triangle. 180 minus 90 leaves you 90, minus 32 leaves you 58 degrees. Here it wants us, the center is circled at this, so right away we know we're flipping the sign, so it can't be A and C. Oh, this is the one I told you to make this say 36, so the answer is choice D. You would do distance formula, so when you do distance formula, you'd get radius of 6, so r squared equals 36. Almost done. Here there's bacteria. Bacteria can be counted, so the bacteria is going to be on the top, and then the area is going to be on the bottom. So it tells us the diameter is 4, We're almost done. The diameter is 4. Because the diameter is 4, that makes the radius 2. So the area equals pi r squared. So we've got pi times 2 times 2, which is 12.56. So when we take 50,000 divided by 12.56, we're left with 3,980.9. Lastly, I don't know why they keep having these cube ones come up. Which of the following is not a possible cross-section of a cube? The octagon. Octagon is not. A cube has 6 sides, so the biggest shape that can go into it is a hexagon. So a pentagon, which is less than 6 sides, can fit inside of a cube. But an octagon has 8 sides, so that's the one that cannot fit in. The square would be if you cut the cube straight down. The trapezoid would be if we cut off the corner of the cube, and the hexagon comes from connecting the midpoints of the 6 sides, and then you'll get your hexagon shape. The octagon is not possible.